crazy mother.
Praise the sun. Praise the sun. Praise the sun.
Peggy 16.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Next Level X. My name is Jake, and today we have another Ashes of Ariandel DLC trailer to break down. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Now, the trailer starts out with us in the same snowy region we saw in the first DLC trailer, but then we have this Northern Warrior looking guy hurling spears at us, and this is the first time we've seen this enemy type. I think the enemy type looks really good. I definitely think that we'll be able to get the weapons and gear of this enemy, and that includes the throwable spear that they were chucking at us right at the beginning of the clip. I know that they've never done throwable spears before in a Dark Souls game, but I'm almost 100% positive that we will be able to get that spear and it will be a throwable weapon type, which is awesome because to my recollection they haven't ever done anything like that before, and I think that idea sounds like so much fun. Then we also see this new torch type where they're blowing fire at you. I don't think it's going to be a pyromancy. I think it's going to be a new torch that we get that's going to give us the ability to blow fire like that. So I think that'll be really, really fun to use as well. But overall, this new enemy type looks great, I think. Another important thing I wanted to talk about is the fact that recently, during an interview with Miyazaki, where he was being questioned about the DLC, he brought up this new idea he's implementing in this DLC called the Snowy Field, which, according to him, is a vast, expansive, open area that the player is going to have to fight through in order to get to the other side. So I think that's going to be really interesting to see how that works as well. Moving on, we have another horned-helmed knight that we're fighting here. I think it's interesting to note that this guy is a little bit different from the one that we saw in the previous trailer, whereas the one in the previous trailer was wearing a helmet with moose horns on it that were much larger, and this guy is wearing a helmet with elk or buck horns on it that are a little bit smaller, still really cool looking. I really love the theme of these guys, and I think that there's a strong possibility that we're going to be able to get this armor set, obviously scaled down to our character's size, but I will elaborate here in just a minute on why I think that's definitely going to happen. So here it is. In this shot, you can see that the character stops, and the axe he's holding is without a doubt the same axe that the enemy was using in the previous scene. So that leads me to believe that that enemy's weapons and gear will be lootable items in the DLC for sure. Now, this next scene really reminds me of Cainhurst Castle from Bloodborne, just because it's some more insect type enemies and what seems to be blood moss all over the ground. Just definitely reminds me of Cainhurst Castle for sure. That and the snowy environment as well. Now, moving into this clip is where things start to get really interesting. Here we're fighting a human-sized boss, and right there we just saw them use a shield weapon art that seems to be a shield bash of sorts that actually launches a wolf's face out of the shield and breaks the guard of the player character. And while we're talking about this character's gear, I also want to mention the sword, which looks to be like a gladius, which is a sword used by gladiators in ancient Rome. We've never seen a sword shaped like that in the Souls series before, and I think it looks really, really cool. I'm glad to see that they're using some different ideas and different styles of weapons influenced by different places in the world in different periods of time. But right here is where we have the huge bombshell. What seems to be either Sif or maybe Sif's offspring or relative or something, but a giant gray wolf just like Sif just pops in out of nowhere and joins this human-sized enemy in this boss fight against us. Now, this raises so many questions as to who is this human-sized boss that we're fighting, and why does he or she have a great gray wolf fighting with him or her. I'm leaning towards her because I'm thinking that this might actually be Kieran. Who knows, man? It's really, this is all speculation, but I can't think of anyone else that would have a wolf fighting with them and have a wolf shield that has a special, wolf weapon art, being that she was so close with Artorias, and that, Artorias fell to the abyss and she asks for his soul near the end of the DLC in Dark Souls 1. Maybe this is where she found her final resting place, who knows, but it's really all speculation at this point. Now, the last thing I want to say about this clip is look at the stance of our character. They are very clearly about to throw the spear that they're holding, and that is why I'm so sure that we're going to be able to loot these spears off of the enemies from the beginning of the trailer. And man, I cannot wait to start throwing some spears at people. I'm not sure how it's going to work, whether they will have a like a counter on them, like projectiles, like you have so many of them to throw, or whether you throw it and go pick it up. I don't know. All I know is that I can't wait to start throwing spears at people in PvP. It's going to be so much fun. Now, moving into the final part of the video here, this character here at the end says, "Fear not, Father, we have no need of thy flame. 'Tis only the flame quivering that misguided ash. Please avert thine eyes." Now, I think the most interesting question here is, who is this woman's father, and why does her father have the flame? Is it Gwyn? Is it some previous Lord of Cinder? I have no idea. But the other really interesting thing to note about this character here is that she is using a scythe very similar to that of Priscilla's from the end of the Painted World area. And that's really interesting as well, because her father was in fact Seath, not Gwyn. So who does that make her father, and who does that make her in the grand scheme of the world here? The other interesting thing to note is that at the beginning of the fight, we're obviously fighting this woman who's a human-sized character, and then about halfway through the scene, it becomes that giant crow boss that was whipping itself from the first DLC trailer. So I think that's going to end up being some sort of mid-fight transformation, but that really remains to be seen. The other interesting thing to note is that this woman does look a little bit like a firekeeper, so maybe this will be the first instance of us ever actually fighting maybe a rogue firekeeper. So that's really, really interesting to think about. And that about wraps it up, guys. At this point, we have almost exactly 1 month until the DLC comes out, and I am feeling very optimistic. I know that a lot of people have been kind of hating on this DLC already, even though it hasn't even come out yet, but I think it's going to be really good. I think it's going to bring some new things to the table. I can't wait to see what the snowy field is like. He said that's going to be something different from the vanilla game, a totally new aspect that wasn't even in the vanilla game. So I can't wait to see how that plays out. Can't wait to see what all the new armor's like. I can't wait to throw spears at people. It's looking really good, guys. But as always, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. As always, guys, thank you for watching, and we will see you on the next one. Peace.
Crazy mother.
Praise the sun. Praise the sun. Praise the sun.